Okie dokie. Good morning, you guys. It's Friday, 18th of October. Coffee, just past 11 in the morning. And I even lit candles because it's fairly dark in my house. It's also pouring with rain out there, and there's wind in the branches. And it looks like possibly a first kind of a bit of a stormy day. I'm not sure how bad it will be. We will wait and see for that. You can see the candlelight on sometimes on my glasses, like so, and on my face. Let me see. Upheavals, travails. I've got a new tiny little volunteer job actually doing the sort of catalogue for the library on the computer for the local history club over here. Completely different set of people to what I'm used to. And the work is very different. It's much more a type of work that I've already done many times. Organizing a file or looking up books and stuff. And so far it's quite fun and it's very relaxed and there's no pressure. Oh, God, it's great. So that was yesterday. I had a little of a headache because PMS and because travails and things with people. I won't go into any of that, I don't think, because not important and no real lasting problems other than, societal pressure and hard work and things like that. So it's not easy. I'm going to shove you back just a tiny bit, like so, because then does it do anything? No, because I just don't I don't feel like you should have only my face like this big in the camera, okay? So coffee, tea and all that. I've got my cards. I spent most of the day yesterday and Wednesday also working on the cards that you've already seen a bit of. I will show a few of them to you. Thank you for the sentence. Yes. In a bit. They're turning out rather nice, if I do say so myself. They're not by a long stretch finished yet. I've got a lot more that I want to do, but I will need the big light and I will need, more inks and things like that. So I've no idea what the weather is going to do today. It's quite possible that this just passes over and that's the end of it. On the other hand, you never know over here. Oh, coffee is so nice. Slept like a log again. Dreams always. And it looks like, yes, that's one thing I was going to do. I was going to pick out my black obsidian again. Actually, I'll bring in the whole tray again of the earthing and grounding crystals because it was too far removed by now. We do everything on this table here. So I've got a Pantherina wax, like so. And just now, before I got my coffee, I sat for like 20 seconds or so with the Amanita Muscaria in the one hand, the wax, and the other one, the Pantherina, in the other. And immediately I can tell the difference. I could also tell that there's like a vibration inside me that greets the Muscaria particularly like a friend, as if it were, somebody I really like and care about. And I'm very welcoming to the Muscaria. So that was funny. And the other one, I just don't know well enough yet. I'm not even sure there's going to be that much of a vibration coming out of it. I don't know. I did watch a video last week, I think, by Paul Stamets, where he describes having an omelette that contains Amanita Pantherinas with a mate of his and how that went for him. It was hilarious. I was almost rolling over the table laughing how he described what happened to them and how they went about it. It's also, I think it's California where this is taking place. And I went like, okay, so this is really not for me, because just handling the stuff I already get, sensitive and stuff. It feels right now like there is actually an energetic or a vibrational difference between these two. This one's the Amanita muscaria, so the normal, the red cap, the fly cap, I should say. And this one is the bronzy coloured. I had a bit of, fiddly moment where I had to find out whether this was actually a Pantherina or what we, in this country, I don't remember the Latin name, call a pearly Amanita that looks quite a bit similar, but there's a few little differences. And one difference being that the outer edge of the mushroom, you know what? I'm going to show you my card. This is the card as it is now for the Amanita Pantherina. So you can see that it has it looks, completely like a muscaria mushroom right there, except for the color. Now, Pantherina has like a set of fine little striations going down from the bronze colored cap to its edge, like so. It's like it's tiny little folded fabric with teeny tiny little folds in it all the way around. And the pearly Amanita that I just end up talking about here, I haven't looked up the name. I might pause and get the book. Hang on a second. Yes. So the pearly Amanita is called Amanita rubescens, so reddening, and that applies to its inner flesh, so to speak. I can try and show you this picture up here. You see, this looks a lot like a Pantherina, but if you cut it in half, you will get red spots or reddening spots in the middle. So, and it doesn't have the little curtainy folds all around, and it also doesn't smell like, I suppose I might as well call that wasabi, which this one does. The Pantherina has that quite a bit of a strong radish, horseradish type smell. So I thought that was rather cool, and as I was cutting that up into little slices, I could smell that really clearly. So obviously it is a Pantherina. This village is full of dangerous mushrooms, especially now. And this is my Dutch mushroom catalogue book that you can tell is quite a hefty, serious one. It's a Reader's Digest edition that I've got a couple of volumes of, one of trees and bushes and another one of mushrooms, and maybe one other one, I don't remember. I've got a lot of books like this, and it contains immense number of different types of boletuses, like so, and it has these really gorgeous illustrations. Look at that, just amazing. That's not an Amanita, obviously, because it doesn't have any dots. I won't bother you with Latin names for that. I wouldn't know what it's called in English. It's supposed to be edible, even. So, gorgeous book. I got one other one that's German, and it's a bit taken apart, but it looks like this. Looks a bit, old school, and it does have a date. Yes, it's from 1918. So, yeah. And it's always worthwhile checking in here what they've got to say. They also got really nice, they got an extensive introduction and lists and things. But they also got really nice illustrations, like for example this one, which is a big ink cap mushroom, the furry ink cap like that. So I use both of those, mainly the Dutch one because it's most up to date really. So I will have to, during this today, probably I will sit with these and sort of alternately try to, it feels This one feels like it's more in the body. Yes, I'm also recording this stuff for myself, you know, because it's fun to see where you get with that. More fiery, a bit more Shakti-ish, so to speak. This one is more like light, and this one's more like fire, in a way. Yeah, I think so. Put them away for now. Have more coffee. Because it's best when it's hot. So, as you can see, my cards are coming along really nicely. Here's another really funny one that has this insane veiled lady mushroom in the picture at the bottom. I have prepped rune associations with, you know, all of these. I have 25 cards. Most of the photographs, well, I think 2/3 of the photographs are from the internet because I didn't have photos, like especially the veiled lady doesn't grow around where I am here. So I will take this to represent its whole kind of this long, you know, the type of mushroom that I'm talking about that grows all over, really. This is, however, one of the little Boletuses, like there, that we harvested. Or we didn't harvest this one, but it was in a group of Boletuses that we harvested last Sunday. So, and here's another picture of an Amanita type, dangerous one. This is that the death cap or was that the white one? Two really dangerous poisonous Amanitas that I'm of course dying to stick into one of these, but I haven't found them yet. And they're really, what shows for these is that they come out of this little pouch at the bottom, like so. I find this stuff really fascinating. I must say that yesterday I was a bit overwrought and a bit emotional, and there were some communication issues in this house, and I found it really difficult to basically do anything else than just sit there with my little brush and fill in those corners. I used 2 types of paint, 2 layers one over the other, to fill in those corners. And there was a very repetitive and quite boring work, really, but it was okay. It was really all I could do at the time, because how it feels for me, I help solve problems, I help get things done in ways that people don't always ask me to do. If I don't do it, my whole evening goes to shit. And everybody else's evening is gone to shit. And I wasn't in the picture. I'm being a bit vague on purpose here. But the whole situation was resolved because I know who it was, you know, that we were dealing with. So I just phoned him up and said, what's going on? Tell me. And that was actually, I think, quite okay. Only afterwards, what happens is that I expect credit, you know? I'm a Leo. I want people to say, you are amazing to me. Because I just, you know, went and did the thing. And I know that other people won't do that, but I'm expecting my husband to do this after 32 years of marriage to him. And he never does this. You know, I just have to yell at him. He's just, and I was wondering whether he was embarrassed because I interfered in the thing. And he wasn't expecting me to do that or any of it. It was complicated. He doesn't say he's embarrassed. He will deny and deny and deny everything. It's very natural to be embarrassed when you're blindsided by somebody and they just take up the phone and go do the thing and you weren't ready. It was tough. And I feel that I'm carrying around a legacy, a heritage of not getting any attention, to the extent that I was actually so messed up inside that I decided to go back into, go back into like a past lives mode, or past life mode, singular, I should say, with, my old gypsy girl that I've always talked about, yeah, and sort of reconnect back with her again. That made me feel a lot better, because being fragmented and or dissociating and or not getting any attention ever, or not being communicated with, they're 4 different things, you would say. But to me, in the core, it feels the same. And I wonder all the time whether, not all the time, quite a bit, whether my so-called soul retrieval experience wasn't really just, it was weird because I dug up this whole complete aspect of my personality that really belongs with my being, with who I am, whole and complete, out of this other dimension, whatever, it was. It took shape in a regression, during a regression, I came into contact with this part of myself, but it feels like it's very remote still, and I can, it doesn't feel remote now, it just, it goes through the emotions only. I have no other way of contacting that type of atmosphere or where she comes from. There's Indian music, there's certain aspects of, Middle Eastern culture that I feel really strongly connected to, gypsy culture, travelers culture. I've gone into all that, this is just in passing really, but if it did me good to reconnect with that. And I was wondering about how these things are really all, so they feel the same to the inner child. This is what you build up when nobody talks to you, when nobody takes you seriously, like, my parents. So this doesn't really have all that much to do with the mushrooms, except for perhaps I do tend to make, if I can, whatever I really like. I was feeling lousy yesterday from, the patterns between basically my husband and I, because I feel utterly powerless and end up shouting at him through the phone and saying things that, who cares? It's not like it's exactly like that or what. I just have to grab his attention somehow or other. And I was feeling really frustrated and really like, it isn't even really about getting attention so much. It's about being completely ignored and neglected again. And that's just unacceptable. And it's very common for people to ignore each other the whole time. It's sucky, very bad. So I just felt like I owed you that, because this is a channel where I tend to be as authentic as I can. So I will have to watch this back and see whether it's actually possible to watch, and then we'll see whether I post it. This is more like neutral ground to me. The cauliflower mushroom, that I do have experience with. I was going into basically also the difference. Not only do I have pictures from the internet, I do have pictures of this cauliflower mushroom, which is yummy to eat, by the way. It's a lot of work to get cleaned out because it contains all sorts of pine needles and grit and forest dirt and stuff like that. But it tastes excellent and it smells beautiful. It's just such a gorgeous mushroom. So I've got a lot of experience with that. I do have a few photographs, but they weren't really clear enough for this purpose. So I took a photo of the internet. Same with this. the amethyst mushroom like that, that I've seen only a few times. They're really gorgeous, beautiful color. And, you know, I will go back into this. This is a photograph that I actually had to, you know, dig back out of my collection. And it's like a little orange. It's not really all that sharp, but still pretty, I think. Orange fiery type mushroom that I found in the mountains somewhere in the Alps, and so on and so forth. Yeah, parasol mushroom, edible, quite fine, you know, with lots of spots like that. Those are completely harmless to use. Same as the amanitas, though. I think they're even fluffier than the amanitas and will be proving to be completely impossible to dry. Here's another really fascinating one that I don't know the English name to. It's like a star shape with a little bubble on the top of it. I've got one of those that I found in the backyard over here, and so on and so forth. Associations with runes I will go into. I will leave it for now for this. I have used, like I said, a dark blue paint, actually in 2 layers. It's one of the pots that I got in Venice. You won't be able to tell what color this is now, but it's a really dark blue. With some boiled water and a bit of gum arabic, and 2 layers of that, and a layer of ochre ink over the top of that once it's dry. Of course, you have to be careful what type of glue you use when you use computer prints like this. This is actually the first time. Breathe. Breathe, okay? That I'm extensively working on computer printed images afterwards. There's going to be a lot more going on with these. I intend to use gold and white, and there's all sorts of other ideas that I've been having to work with this, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But to you know, if you put too much watery substance close to your images, that's not going to work. So that's a bit of a, you know, that's something I really had to consider. I've used my wallpaper glue that I always use for, you know, sticking the cardboard and wallpaper that's in between these together. So those 2 underlayers. For the top part, the photograph or the printout of the images, for sticking that on, I have used another type, you know, glue stick type glue, which is really a dry substance. And then only the wallpaper glue goes in around the edges, where it tends to just go like so, you know, where you have to make sure it all sticks together really well. So that was fine, that worked fine. And I can tell that my images here are actually smoother and, you know, better. They kept their shape better like this. So this is what the deck looks like at the moment. I am kind of thinking also about making like a little pouch for these, of course, and all the runes still have to go in, and I have several more ideas. So lots of fun, nice little project. I'm sitting here also, maybe you saw this waving around already, with my black obsidian, because yeah, you know, I find this stone, it's wonderful really how I've carried around a stone or a crystal for years. I've inherited this from somebody who visited Yellowstone maybe 40 years ago or something like that, or longer, in the 60s, what have you, and never used it and never connected with it, and found it a bit hard to deal with. And now it's just perfect. It's just like I need this. I tend always to err on the side of aesthetics. How can I put this a bit more plainly? I tend to rather, you know, choose easy options. I'm not looking for trouble myself. I have had enough trouble. I find it really difficult to deal with. I find it really hard to, you know, live with people who are hard to deal with, who I don't like shouting, I don't like loud noises. I just can't deal. I can't. However, there are times where only brutal honesty really works. And at this time, and what with all this pressure that we're having with this, upcoming Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January and all that, it's just very challenging for quite a number of people, I think. Not the same for everybody, of course, never is. And maybe there's even people to whom this all passes over their heads and they have no idea what's going on, why this should be such a big deal. It's quite possible. Maybe you are one of them. I don't know. To me, it's like perspectives are changing the whole time. Perspectives have changed for me. I find that, for example, when I think about holidays, which is one thing that I've always, kind of clung to very much, was my identification with certain parts of France that I either grew up in or have revisited so often afterwards that I just I used to cling to the atmosphere, what I experienced there was more real to me often than my surroundings that I'm in used to be. This is something that I ran into headlong during my summer holiday this past season. And it was quite confrontational, and there were areas that I visited that were completely okay, where I didn't have the tendency to go and just paint over the experience with a nostalgic brush. That's what I've apparently done always for 50 years, because I never really got a chance to connect with the actual place as it was. I didn't know enough people. People I knew disappeared again 50 times, every time. I never kept any friends for any length of time. So dealing with that, especially now we're 2 months, further on in time, I think, a lot of stuff has happened. I find in between, in the past couple of months, a lot of stuff has happened with me quitting one volunteer job and now starting another. It's kind of funny that I kind of return to a volunteer job that ends up being a bit more of an intellectual endeavor than anything else. Up to now, all I've done is, in terms of volunteer work, used to be physical and or social work. Never intellectual, hardly ever. And so it's cool that I can, sort of be in books again and, mess around with different languages and things like that. That's really cool. That's fine. So it's also a lot less stressful. It's a really nice little group of 5 men and 4 women, me included. And it's traditional, and I don't always really keep up with the dialect because they actually speak a dialect here. As if you were way behind whatever mountains, We will see what comes of it all. Obsidian is a tough cookie. I've got lots more that I can talk about, and I won't for now. I will just see what I've actually gotten, so far. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.